She thought she would never forgive him. Fate doesn't ask for permission before rewriting hearts. Amara had never hidden her feelings about Ethan, her husband's older brother. She despised him. From the moment she married Daniel, Ethan had been a shadow in their lives, always critical, always cold, always reminding her that she didn't belong in the wealthy Grayson family. To her, Ethan was arrogance personified. A man who carried the family fortune like a crown, who believed love was a weakness, and who made sure she knew she was an outsider. Every time his sharp blue eyes lingered on her, Amara felt judged, measured, and dismissed. Yet beneath all of her anger, there was something else, a strange awareness that unsettled her. She hated how his presence filled a room, how his deep voice demanded attention, how even his silence seemed louder than most people's words. She hated him because he reminded her of everything she wasn't, and everything she secretly feared she wanted. Her husband Daniel was nothing like Ethan. Gentle, kind, always smiling, Daniel was her safe place, her choice of love against all odds. But lately, Daniel had been distant, buried in work, and strangely secretive. Amara tried to ignore the gnawing feeling that something was wrong, but it grew heavier each day. One rainy evening, Ethan arrived unannounced at their home. Amara opened the door, shocked to see him standing there, rain dripping from his dark coat. "What are you doing here?" she asked sharply. Ethan's gaze flicked over her, unreadable. "Daniel isn't answering his phone. I need to speak with him." "He's not home," she snapped, trying to close the door, but his hand stopped it. His touch wasn't rough, but it was firm enough to remind her of his power. "I'll wait," he said simply, stepping inside before she could argue. Amara's chest tightened with irritation. The air between them felt heavier than the storm outside. She busied herself in the kitchen, trying to ignore the sound of his footsteps as he wandered through the living room like he owned it. Minutes passed in silence until Ethan's voice cut through the tension. "Do you even know where he is tonight?" Her hands froze on the teacup. "Of course I do. He's at work." Ethan's jaw tightened, and for a moment, his mask slipped. There was something in his eyes she had never seen before, something almost protective, almost pained. "You should stop lying to yourself, Amara," he said quietly. "Daniel hasn't been where you think he's been. One day the truth will break you." Her pulse quickened, anger and fear colliding. "What are you talking about?" she demanded, but Ethan didn't answer. He simply turned toward the window, his reflection lit by a flash of lightning, and whispered, "You deserve better than lies." For the first time, Amara saw Ethan not as her enemy, but as a man who might know something she didn't, and that terrified her more than hate ever had. Hate is easy to carry until doubt slips in and makes the heart question everything. That night, after Ethan left without another word, Amara couldn't sleep. His warning replayed in her mind over and over. "Daniel, hasn't he been where you think he's been?" She tossed in bed, staring at the ceiling, waiting for Daniel to come home. Hours passed, the rain stopped, and silence filled the house. When Daniel finally walked through the door near dawn, his clothes smelled faintly of perfume, one that Amara didn't wear. Her heart clenched, but she forced a smile. "Late night at work again?" she asked softly. Daniel's eyes flickered, his usual warmth shadowed by something she couldn't place. "Yeah," he muttered, avoiding her gaze. "It's deadlines." She wanted to press him to demand the truth, but the weight of fear silenced her. Instead, she lay beside him, listening to the steady rhythm of his breathing until sleep finally claimed her. But her dreams were filled not with Daniel, but with Ethan. His sharp words, his piercing eyes, his voice telling her she deserved better. She woke up unsettled, angry with herself. Why him? Why now? Days turned into weeks, and Daniel's distance grew. He left early, returned late, and when he was home, he was distracted, half present, half elsewhere. Amara's heart ached with loneliness. And then, one evening, Ethan appeared again. She found him waiting by her car outside the supermarket. His tall frame leaning casually against the hood, though his eyes burned with intensity. "What are you doing here?" she demanded, clutching her shopping bags. He stepped forward, lowering his voice. "Daniel isn't who you think he is, Amara. And the sooner you accept that, the less it will destroy you." Her chest tightened. "You keep saying that, but you never explain. If you know something, then tell me." For a moment, Ethan hesitated, his jaw tightening like he was holding back something dangerous. Finally, he whispered, "Because if I tell you, you'll never look at him the same way again." Her heart raced, her anger clashing with fear. "Then stop tormenting me, Ethan. If you hate me so much, leave me alone." His expression softened unexpectedly, pain flickering across his face. "I don't hate you, Amara. That's the problem." The world seemed to tilt beneath her feet, lips parted, but no words came. Ethan stepped closer, close enough that she could feel the warmth of his breath, his voice trembling with restraint. "You think I enjoy watching you break? Watching you cling to a man who doesn't deserve you? You hate me, and maybe you should, but I'd rather have your hate than watch you suffer in silence." Her pulse hammered, the air thick between them. She should have pulled away. She should have screamed at him. But for one fleeting second, she saw Ethan not as the enemy she despised, but as the only man who was really looking at her. The moment shattered when Daniel's car pulled up. Amara stumbled back, her face flushing with guilt she couldn't explain. Ethan's eyes lingered on hers, burning with something unspoken, before he turned and walked away. Daniel smiled at her as if nothing was wrong. But when Amara slid into the passenger seat, her heart wasn't steady anymore. It carried a question she could no longer ignore. Had she been wrong about which brother truly saw her? The worst kind of betrayal is the one you never believed was possible. Amara tried to shake Ethan's words from her mind, but they haunted her every waking moment. She told herself Daniel was just stressed with work, that his distance was nothing more than the pressure of responsibility. But deep down, a seed of doubt had already been planted. That seed grew the night she decided to surprise him. Daniel had told her he'd be working late again. Instead of waiting at home, Amara drove to his office, clutching a small bag of food she'd prepared, hoping to remind him of the warmth they used to share. She rehearsed what she would say, how she'd smile, how she'd bridge the gap between them. But when she arrived, the office was dark. Confused, she called his phone. No answer. She checked with the receptionist. Daniel hadn't been there all week. The floor dropped from under her. Heart pounding, she drove aimlessly through the city until she saw it at his car, parked outside an upscale restaurant. Through the wide glass windows, she spotted him at a corner table with another woman. The laughter on his lips, the way his hand brushed the woman's arm, it was a version of Daniel she didn't recognize. Amara's chest constricted, her vision blurring with tears. She couldn't move, couldn't breathe. She wanted to storm inside, to scream, to demand answers, but her feet felt glued to the pavement. A familiar voice broke through the storm. "Shouldn't see this, Ethan." She spun to find him standing nearby, his expression shadowed with both fury and pity. "You knew," she whispered, her voice trembling with betrayal and grief. "This is what you've been trying to tell me." Ethan's jaw clenched. He nodded once. "I wanted to protect you from the truth, but I couldn't stand by and watch him keep breaking you." Her knees weakened, and before she realized what was happening, Ethan caught her by the arm, steadying her. The warmth of his grip sent a jolt through her chest, but her pain drowned it out. "I loved him," she choked. "I gave him everything. Her voice broke, tears spilling down her cheeks. Ethan's eyes softened, his anger now directed fully at his brother. "Daniel doesn't deserve you. He never did." For a long moment, they stood in silence, the night air heavy with pain and something else, something forbidden. When Amara finally pulled away, wiping her tears, her voice was sharper. "Don't think this changes how I feel about you. Still hate you, Ethan. Maybe even more now, because you let me live in the lie." Ethan's expression hardened, but not with anger, more like wounded acceptance. "Hate me all you want," he said quietly. "But when you fall apart, don't forget who's still standing beside you." As he walked away, Mara's heart ached with a dangerous contradiction. She hated Ethan, yet his presence had been the only thing keeping her from collapsing entirely. And somewhere deep inside, she feared the night was only the beginning of truths that would change everything. The heart breaks quietly, but confrontation makes it shatter loud enough for the whole world to hear. Amara spent the night staring at the ceiling, unable to erase the image of Daniel with another woman. Every laugh, every gentle touch she saw, replayed in her mind like a cruel film. She wanted to believe there was some explanation, but the hollow ache in her chest told her the truth. She had lost him long before that night. The next morning, she couldn't stay silent anymore. When Daniel walked into the house, his tie loosened and his expression weary. Amara was waiting in the living room. Her eyes were swollen from tears, but her posture was strong. "Where were you last night?" she asked, her voice calm but edged with steel. Daniel froze. "Work. I told you, don't lie to me." Her voice cracked. "I saw you." The color drained from his face. For the first time in years, Daniel stammered. "Amara, you what?" she snapped, standing to face him. "You forgot you had a wife? You forgot the promises you made to me?" He ran a hand through his hair, frustration flickering in his eyes. "It's not what you think. Don't insult me," she cried. "I know what I saw, and it wasn't just dinner." "Well, you looked at her, Daniel. You don't even look at me like that anymore." Silence stretched between them, thick and suffocating. Finally, Daniel sighed, his shoulders slumping. Maybe we've both been pretending too long. Maybe we're not the same people anymore." His words sliced deeper than any confession could have. He didn't even deny it. Mara's chest tightened as tears spilled again. "So that's it? You're just going to throw everything away? All the years? All the love me?" Before Daniel could answer, the sound of the front door opening cut through the tension. Ethan stepped inside, clearly unaware of the storm he had walked into. His eyes darted from Amara's tear-streaked face to Daniel's defeated posture, and in an instant, he understood. "What did you do to her?" Ethan demanded, his voice low, dangerous. Daniel glared at him. "Stay out of this. It's between me and my wife, your wife." Ethan's tone sharpened. "You mean the woman you've been neglecting and humiliating? The one you don't even bother to respect anymore?" "Enough," Daniel snapped. "You've always wanted to come between us. Don't think I don't see it." The accusation hit the room like thunder. Amara's heart lurched, her gaze whipping toward Ethan. His silence in that moment spoke volumes. Daniel's smirk was bitter, pathetic. My own brother, circling like a vulture. Ethan stepped closer, his voice trembling with restrained anger. I never wanted to take her from you. But you're destroying her yourself, Daniel. You don't deserve her loyalty. Amara's breath caught in her throat. For the first time, she saw Ethan not as the arrogant man she resented, but as someone who cared enough to defend her when her own husband wouldn't. The room felt like it was on fire, every emotion colliding in a storm of betrayal, grief, and forbidden possibility. Amara whispered, barely audible, both of you. Stop. Her voice broke, and she turned away, unable to face either man. She needed air. She needed space. She needed to remember who she was, outside of the chaos they had created. As she left the room, both brothers stood in silence, one crumbling under the weight of his own guilt, and the other battling feelings he could no longer deny. And Amara, her heart fractured in two. Didn't he realize that the night ahead would bring choices she never thought she'd have to make? Sometimes the person you swore to hate becomes the only one who sees the real you. Amara spent the next few days in silence. She avoided Daniel whenever possible, throwing herself into long walks, late nights in the garden, and endless cups of coffee she never finished. The house felt emptier than ever, even with Daniel under the same roof. Ethan noticed. He always noticed. One evening, as the rain tapped against the windows, Amara found herself in the library, curled on the leather couch with a blanket draped around her shoulders. She wasn't reading, just staring blankly at the fire. The door creaked open, and Ethan stepped inside. He hesitated, as if deciding whether he should leave, but then closed the door softly behind him. You've been avoiding everyone, he said gently. Amara didn't look at him. Maybe because I don't want to talk. That's fair, he replied, walking closer. Jut! But sometimes talking helps more than silence. Her lips pressed into a thin line. Talking didn't save my marriage. Why would it save me now? Ethan's chest tightened at her words. He moved closer, lowering himself into the chair opposite her. You didn't ruin your marriage, Amara. Daniel did. Her eyes flickered to his, sharp and wounded, and you stood there letting him accuse you of things you didn't even deny. He exhaled slowly, 'cause he wasn't entirely wrong. Her heart skipped. She sat up straighter. What are you saying? Ethan leaned forward, his gaze steady. I tried to hate you. I wanted to hate you because you belonged to him. But every time I saw you smile, every time you stood your ground, every time you fought for love, even when he didn't deserve it. He broke off, shaking his head. I felt something I shouldn't. The air between them thickened, heavy with unspoken truths. Amara's breath quickened. You're my husband's brother, she whispered. I know, he said, his voice low, pained. And that's why I've fought it for so long. But watching him hurt you, watching you brick, I can't pretend anymore. Tears welled in her eyes, not from sadness this time, but from the dangerous relief of being seen, truly seen. I hated you, she admitted, her voice trembling. From the moment we met, I thought you were arrogant, heartless, impossible to bear. But now, I don't know what to feel anymore. Ethan's hand moved instinctively, reaching for hers. For a moment, she'd let him hold it. His touch was warm, grounding, steady. It felt like the first real comfort she'd had in months. The fire crackled, rain poured harder outside, and the silence between them deepened into something undeniable. When Amara finally pulled her hand away, her chest rose and fell with the weight of her conflicted heart. "This can't happen," she whispered. Ethan's eyes softened. "Maybe it shouldn't, but that doesn't change the fact that it already has." Their gazes locked. And in that fragile, dangerous moment, Amara realized the truth. No matter how hard she tried to resist, Ethan had become the only one she could no longer push away. All it takes is one night to destroy the walls you built your whole life. The storm outside had grown wild. Lightning split the sky, thunder roared through the mansion, and the power flickered before plunging the house into sudden darkness. Amara gasped when the lights went out. The silence afterward felt suffocating, broken only by the relentless pounding of rain on the windows. She fumbled with her phone, but the signal was gone. No calls, no message, just isolation. Ethan entered the library again, a flashlight in hand. The dim glow illuminated his sharp features, the shadows on his face making him look both dangerous and comforting at once. "Generators down," he explained. "It might take a while to fix. You'll be safer here by the fire." Amara tried to steady her breath, but the sound of the storm and the closeness of him were too much. She turned toward the flames, hugging her knees to her chest, trying not to show how fragile she felt. Minutes stretched into hours. They sat in silence, the fire casting golden light on their faces, until finally Amara broke the tension. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked softly. Ethan's brows furrowed. "Regret what? Caring?" she whispered. "Letting yourself feel something you shouldn't." He looked at her for a long time, his jaw tight. "Every day. And yet, it's the only thing keeping me alive." Her throat tightened. The words hung between them, echoing louder than the thunder. For so long, she had fought against the pull, against the way her heart betrayed her whenever Ethan was near. But in that moment, with the storm sealing them away from the world, she no longer had the strength. When Ethan moved closer, she didn't stop him. His hand brushed against her cheek, hesitating as if asking for permission. She closed her eyes, her breath shaky, and leaned into his touch. "Amara," he murmured, her name breaking from his lips like a confession. She opened her eyes, and everything changed. Their lips met, tentative at first, then desperate as if years of anger, denial, and longing had erupted all at once. The kiss was fire and thunder, shattering every wall she had built against him. When they finally pulled apart, Amara's heart was racing. "This is wrong," she whispered, her voice trembling. Ethan's eyes burned with something fierce and unshakable. "Then why does it feel like the only thing that's ever been right?" The night swallowed them whole. The storm outside became a backdrop to the storm inside, as two people bound by fate and forbidden by blood crossed the line they swore they never would. By morning, nothing between them would ever be the same. The night gave them what they craved, but the morning stole their peace. Amara woke with the faint glow of dawn slipping through the curtains. For a moment she forgot where she was, forgot the storm, forgot the weight of her life. All she knew was warmth, the steady rhythm of a heartbeat against her cheek, and a comfort she hadn't felt in years. Then reality crashed over her. She sat up quickly, clutching the blanket around her, her chest rising and falling with panic. Ethan stirred beside her, his eyes opening slowly. There was no regret in them, only quiet certainty. "What have we done?" she whispered, her voice breaking. Ethan sat up too, running a hand through his disheveled hair. "We stopped lying to ourselves," he said simply. Amara shook her head, tears pricking her eyes. Don't understand. If Daniel ever finds out, he doesn't deserve you, Amara, Ethan interrupted, his voice firm. Last night didn't happen because of him, it happened because of us, because it was always meant to. She flinched at his words. No, it wasn't meant to. It was a mistake. But even as she said it, her heart betrayed her. She remembered the way his touch had felt, the way he looked at her like she was the only person in the world. No one, not even her husband, had ever seen her that way. Ethan reached for her hand, but she pulled back. Please, she begged, her voice trembling. Don't make this harder than it already is. The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating. Finally, Ethan stood, his expression unreadable. If you want to call it a mistake, then fine, but don't pretend you didn't feel it too. I saw it in your eyes, felt it in the way you held me. Her breath caught, her chest aching with unspoken truth. She couldn't deny it, but she couldn't accept it either. Before she could answer, the sound of a car engine roared outside. Her heart froze. Daniel. Amara scrambled to her feet, her mind spinning. Do you have to leave now? Ethan's jaw tightened, but he nodded. He moved toward the back door, pausing just before stepping out. His eyes locked with hers, fierce and unyielding. This isn't over, Amara. You can run from me, from us, but you can't run from what's already inside you. Then he was gone. Amara pressed her hands to her face, her heart pounding as the front door opened, and Daniel's voice echoed through the house. The night had given her everything she secretly longed for, but morning had brought the cruel reminder. Choices have consequences, and forbidden love never stays hidden for long. Some secrets burn brighter than fire until the truth consumes everything. Daniel stormed into the house, muttering about the storm and how the roads had been blocked. Amara forced herself to smile, her hands trembling as she brought him coffee. Every second, she feared he would notice the lingering scent of smoke from the fireplace. The faint warmth in the library, the ghost of last night still clinging to her. But Daniel was too wrapped up in his own world to see. Ethan, however, couldn't stay away. In the days that followed, his presence haunted her. He moved through the house like a shadow, polite when Daniel was near, intense when their eyes met across the room. It was unbearable, the push and pull of desire and guilt tearing Amara apart. One evening, Daniel announced a business trip. I'll be gone a week, he said casually, as if nothing in their fractured marriage was worth discussing. Amara nodded, her heart pounding. A week without him meant freedom and danger. The moment Daniel's car disappeared down the drive, Ethan appeared. He didn't speak at first. He just looked at her, his eyes full of everything she had tried to deny. This can't go on, she whispered, her voice breaking. Ethan stepped closer, his gaze unyielding.
Outstanding.
But if you tell me last night meant nothing, if you tell me you feel nothing, then I'll walk away forever. Her breath caught. She opened her mouth, but no words came, 'cause the truth was written in every beat of her heart. I can't, she admitted, tears spilling. I can't say that. He pulled her into his arms, and for the first time she stopped fighting. No walls, no lies. No lies, only the raw truth of what they were to each other. But love born in the shadows cannot escape the light. On the fourth night, Amara woke to the sound of footsteps in the hall. Panic surged through her veins. Daniel wasn't supposed to return yet. She rushed to the door, but it was too late. He was there, his eyes narrowing as he took in the scene. Her flushed face, Ethan standing too close, the undeniable tension in the air. The silence was louder than any accusation. Daniel's voice was low, deadly. So it's true. Amara's throat went dry. Ethan stepped forward, shielding her. Danielle! Don't, Daniel snapped, his eyes blazing with betrayal. My own brother. The room shook with the weight of the truth. Amara felt her world crumble, but for the first time she didn't cower. She met Daniel's fury with a steady gaze. "You left me long before he ever found me," she said, her voice firm. "You broke us. Don't blame me for picking up the pieces." Daniel's jaw clenched, but he had no answer. He turned and left, slamming the door so hard the walls rattled. In the aftermath, Amara collapsed into Ethan's arms, trembling. "What have we done?" Ethan held her close, his voice steady, even as his heart raced. "We told the truth. Sometimes the truth destroys before it heals." She closed her eyes, knowing nothing would ever be the same. Their love was forbidden, messy, born of pain and fire, but it was real. And for the first time, Amara chose not to hate it, because that one night had changed everything and there was no turning back.